Hi everyone, this is Adam McCarthy, and I'm here today to share with you my case study response from our AEP 858 Module 15 assignment. So let's go ahead and get this thing pulled up and let's take a look and see what we got here. What do I already know about this issue? Well, after reading the review of pretty much everything that has happened so far and the steps I've taken as the principal, here's what I know. I know that there are students at Truman Elementary School who have scored low in their reading comprehension levels on the standardized state test. And even after looking at the data as well, that was the main concern from the parents and the PTO, but our math scores also weren't that high as well, so that was something I also noted. There is a grant from the State Board of Education that is available that I, as a principal, am interested in seeking out for our benefit to improve these reading scores. And the district reading supervisor has been asked to visit classrooms in the school and to create reflection on the observations or the recommendations for instructional improvement. And this is specifically for our literature/reading department for those teachers who may be struggling or maybe need some different ideas and ways to approach things in their own classrooms. So these are the things that I need to know. Personally, for myself, I think more assessment data, specifically in these grades 3 and 4, would be extremely valuable because the school that I'm currently working in is K through 8, and specifically grades 3 and grades 4 are the two areas where my students are really struggling, especially on that reading assessment. So we need to take a look at the students who are in those grades and also the teachers who teach those grades more specifically. Also information from the district regarding individual teachers. So maybe even beyond grades 3 and 4, we need to take a look at grades 1 and grades 2 literature and reading teachers, maybe just to poke my head in and make sure that they are doing everything they're supposed to be doing and giving our students the best opportunity to be successful in those literature classes. And lastly, approach taken to guarantee our grant opportunity. If we have more funds and more resources available in our building, maybe we could bring in some new programs that could really escalate the scores of our students in those state assessment categories. So what is this biggest problem? To me, the biggest problem is what measures can be taken to improve the education of our students. And if our reading scores are low, in my mind, the problem is more than just improving those scores. Okay, it's how are we going to improve the overall education? Because yes, maybe they are struggling in the reading category, but there's probably some more improvements that can be made across the board as well. So here's my proposed plan of action. I have 4 things specifically that I'm going to do in order to address the big problem. The first one I have is meet with teachers to discuss potential reasons for low reading scores. We're going to utilize the notes from the reading specialist as well. And then we're going to meet with all staff to devise a plan to maximize chances of receiving the state grant. And next is to respond to parent and PTO concerns about school procedures. And lastly, I'm going to recommend all teachers for professional improvement opportunities. So as I look over this, some other things that I wanted to hit on is number 2, especially really trying to get after that grant. And me as the administrator, I'm probably going to take the first step at getting us towards that grant. But I would really value the opinions and considerations of the teachers. I mean, especially these literature teachers and reading teachers, because who better to help me write such a proposal in a proper way, in a proper format that maximizes our chances of receiving that. Also, recommending all teachers for professional improvement. As we've noted already, yes, our reading scores and literature scores might be low on the state assessment, but instead of singling out those specific teachers for professional development opportunities, I would rather make it a whole group experience and give us a chance to bond more frequently as a staff, and also, again, as I already said, to not really single any category or subject of teachers out. We're all going to take this opportunity together. We're a school, we do things together. Okay. So appropriate strategies to implement my plan of action. First, we're going to promote a focus on students. if we can get the teachers on board and the community on board, that the reason why we are making all these changes is to not just improve our test scores so our school looks better, but we're really doing this because we want our students to be more successful. We want our students to get a better education through our building. Next, we're going to encourage the staff and parents that these changes will better the school and the community. If you can't tell by my personality already through this video, very uplifting through my current position as a department head leader at my building, and I really promote that encouragement and the positivity. And so for me, that's huge, being positive with those teachers, especially with the ones that maybe they're struggling to do well in those grades 3 and 4 literature classes. Man, just really pounding home to them that, we're doing this for the kids, and just really having a positive attitude with them about the awesome changes that they could make for our district. And no, just because their student scores are low doesn't mean they're going to necessarily get a bad review or they're going to be fired or anything like that, but that we're going to utilize them to their best potential. So just try to be really encouraging about that. And lastly, to discuss potential changes with staff and collaborate with them for their input. As a current teacher, I love it in my own building when my principal asks me for input on certain issues and asks me my opinion on things and what would I do if I were in his shoes. And so as a principal myself, that would be something I would want to do with my own staff is, well, what do you guys think about our issues? What should we do? Do you have any ideas? And really just make the staff feel appreciated and feel valued for their input that they can provide to this problem. Next, we have how the resolution to the problem will promote the successes of all students. And first, on this right side, we have a state grant will provide many more academic opportunities for students if we have more funding. Maybe we could start an after-school reading club, and maybe we could pay a supervisor or pay a teacher in order to promote this club. So maybe we can get more kids reading, get more kids involved in school. Teacher professional development will help improve their skills to reach more students in the classroom. So if we have more money from the grant, we can then maybe bring in some companies like Kagan or something to really teach us some of these strategies that we can use with our students in the classroom to get them connected to each other and get them engaged in the curriculum that we're teaching. And next, getting more parents involved with the aid in their education of their children. If we follow the plan of action, and we already have a lot of parents who are concerned from the PTO board, if we show them that we care, maybe the parents who are not as involved will see, man, our school really does care about our kids, and maybe they will become more involved throughout this whole process as well. Next, what I was thinking, feeling, and valuing as I responded to this problem. And as you can tell, there are already a lot of emotions based on what I've talked about, especially really pounding home the positivity with the teachers, and that we can take a negative situation and turn it around and use it to better not only our school and our test scores, but also our students and our staff. So let's take a look at number 1. Student needs. How can we make sure we are providing students with the best opportunities possible? So we are obviously lacking somewhere if our students' test scores are low. So we as teachers need to take that opportunity to figure out where can we improve, how can we give more opportunities to these students to make sure they're being successful. Number 2, I have down teacher needs. How can I make sure as a principal that I'm offering my teachers the proper encouragement and opportunities for improvement? And that goes back to on in-service days maybe. We have specialized training, or we have other groups of people come in to give us new ideas about how to teach, how to connect with the kids, because I'm real big on connections. And if our reading scores are low, maybe those teachers are teaching the curriculum correctly. Maybe they have all their X's and Y's down to a T, but maybe they aren't building relationships with kids. So that's something that is being able to explore as I have more interactions and more development time with those teachers, because I would not let them go to these professional development opportunities by themselves. I, as a principal, if I want to set the example, I need to be there and I need to be involved as well. And lastly, I have parent needs. How can I make sure that I am taking parent opinions to heart in order to improve the situation? Just as we all are doing as teachers, it's always good to let the parent know if there's a concern and not to keep them in the dark. So in this case, I would take the PTO board's letter that they wrote me to heart and really respond to them and let them know that yes, we are taking your guys' opinions into consideration. And not only that, but we also appreciate this feedback and this input, because through this, it's going to make us a better community and it's going to make us a better school. Next, I have examples from data in the case explaining how I would act as an agent for continuous improvement. And some of this, not only on this slide, but on the next slide as well, I may have already hit. So if it's something I've already talked about, I'm probably just going to skim through it pretty quickly. First is I'm going to provide a quick response to parent concerns as well as the PTO letter that was sent. So that is something that I'm really going to hit home on. As soon as I see that PTO letter, man, I'm going to immediately write up a quick response, let them know I have your concerns. We're gonna address them maybe at our next in-service day or our next teacher meeting together, and we're going to talk about what can we do to alleviate some of these concerns that you as our PTO board have. Next, we're going to open up the opportunity to have a discussion with parents in person of potential changes for improvement. So not only am I going to give a written response, but as a principal during our monthly meeting could invite stakeholders, could invite parents, could invite PTO board, and we could just have a massive collaboration, and not only collaboration, but also just inform them of some of the changes that may be coming to our school and to our district throughout these concerns and through these low test scores. And lastly, you're going to inform the community of the benefits that can be associated with state grant. So that was already talked about, so we're going to move on to the next one for now. So how did I, as building administrator, use the data presented to respond and communicate to the larger community their concerns about the instructional program? Again, we're going to inform various stakeholders and larger community PTO concerns in the plan for action. So my 4-step plan for action that I have already discussed with you during this video, that is something that I would share immediately with stakeholders, with PTO members, with community members, to let them know, yes, their concerns have been heard, and we're on our way to finding a response for those. And again, not only it's about making a timely response too, and not letting this fall through the cracks, going back to the staff, discussing, and then making a comment back to them. We need to let them know that we take this seriously and they are of utmost importance as we quickly respond to them. And lastly, I would share information about specific teacher improvement plans. So during these in-service days where I have my staff and my teachers taking these maybe new courses, learning new ways to teach curriculum and build connections with students, maybe share updates on how that's going if we have like a monthly meeting, and continuing to invite those members of the community so they can track and see our progress that we're making towards improving those reading testing scores. How is my knowledge of policies, laws, and regulations that govern the school to influence and bring about positive change in teaching and learning that impacts all students displayed? And I have 3 examples here for those as well. Regulations regarding grant completion were mentioned in shower group discussions. So this would be something I discussed with the teachers about, regulations that we need to meet in order to apply for this grant, making sure that we at our school are doing everything possible to fill every gap, to make sure we have the best chance at really receiving that grant, where we can open up so many more opportunities for our students. Next, school policies were kept in mind regarding teacher professional development opportunities. These will only be taken during allotted time periods during in-service days. So I would not add more calendar days for teachers to come in and receive this extra training. This would be something that would take place maybe during a Wednesday PLC, if that's what my school has, or during a in-service day. So this is time that has already been allotted in our school calendar for professional development. So this is not something I would add. And in the dire case where it would have to maybe extend an hour or 2 past our in-service day times, because it really is a great program that we're taking advantage of, if that was the case, during that time we would give the teachers maybe a subsidy or something, maybe a little bonus pay for their extra duty hours that they would be working in that case. And lastly, I have school laws and standards were not changed throughout the improvement process. So we're going to keep all our standards the same. We're not going to lower them, and we're going to keep trucking along as we go through this problem. So lastly, for the sake of time, I'm going to just read the 3 bullets that I have there. Constant PTO and parent concerns were discussed at ongoing collaboration meetings. Such meetings are to take place on a monthly basis. Updates on the progress of the action plan were shared, and specifics of teacher improvements in all areas are talked about during said meetings. Teacher could also participate to share what they have undergone through their trainings as well. So a lot of that I've already hit on. But that's going to wrap it up for my Mod 15 video. Thanks for watching. I look forward to seeing all of yours as well over this case study.